And welcome back to the PCS Spring Playoffs 2022. After a clean and clinical game number one here for CTBC Flying Oyster, we'll have to see if they can do it all again or if MFT are going to mix things up on them. Hey everybody, I'm still Pirate, he's still Night Star, and our sponsors, of course, haven't changed either. They are CTBC Bank and Caliber, so thank you for making PCS possible. Now, Night Star, we do have one thing shifting up, and that is the side selection. We are going to see MFT on blue side, which should change a little bit in how the pick and ban's conducted.
Yeah, this will be a very telling ban phase, because if the side of MFT do go ahead ban away the Zeri, which is sort of a permaban over on red side, but they've shown a tendency to also ban it on blue side themselves, then it could be problematic moving forward through the rest of the series. But they could opt for something like that triple ban, go for the Orianna, the Syndra, and still ban away the Lee Sin if that's the adaptation they want to make over on blue side, to try and give them an opportunity to go for something like a Rise, because Rise in that game would have been very difficult to play against the Orianna. Then you're pretty low range, right? So I think that's why they went for a Zoe pick, but it just didn't work out whatsoever.
No, and I think it was less about the Zoe in particular, right? It was more about what Wen was doing, and specifically what he wasn't doing, which was rotating well enough with the team. It seemed like MFT were the ones that were on the back foot when trying to make plays for themselves. The lane swap clearly caught them off guard. They brought Renhao and then Whale a little bit late, and that kind of gave some free push for rest. The early game, despite not being particularly bloody, really got out of hand, and I want to see that change here for MFT on the blue side. We'll see if you are correct in your assertion. The Zeri is banned by CFO red side, but MFT are going to start with the Syndra ban. I feel like this is an opportunity to leave the Galio open and go for a first pick if you get it, and then banning out. They do continue to ban the Lee Sin as well. I think banning the Orianna does make a lot of sense here, though.
Yeah, and for CFO, they were the ones to go ahead ban away the Galio last ban phase, but given the fact that they are the ones to ban away the Zeri, it does mean that they have one less ban to work with. So we'll see if they go ahead, throw their attention onto either the Diana or the Galio, which were their other two bans in game number one.
Ooh, an Azir ban, interesting. So going to leave the Orianna open for mission, but not trusting that he's going to have that level of wave clear. Okay, so this begs the question, does Wen pick the Orianna up for himself?
Yeah, we saw in the previous series, a lot of the pick and ban phase really revolved around the Ahri pick, right? And I think in this game, it's going to revolve a bit around this Orianna pick if they want to go ahead deny it. They are going to prioritize instead the Graves. So CFO have the opportunity to blind pick the Orianna, and you're not really concerned with Mission having his hands on the Orianna and running into some sort of counter matchup, because he just plays the lane so much better in this instance. And right now, CFO, this would be a very early Malphite pick, which I am not too particular about, but the Volibear makes a whole lot of sense.
It worked out last time, why not do it again? So despite the fact that we've had a swap on the side selection, it's the same first couple of picks here.
Yep.
And not showing an AD carry just yet. CFO might opt to lock in their support pick. Well, it did pretty well on that Nautilus last time around. There we go. I was wondering if this was going to be a swap up, and it will be the Jinx for Shun, a champion he's definitely shown some proficiency on. And we could see the Xayah counter matchup here for Whale. I'm curious to see how it goes, though.
Yeah, now for the side of MFT, I would just go ahead, go back towards either the MF, or if Whale is comfortable on the Xayah pick, that is not too bad as well. But for more of that Wombo style that MFT want to draft for, I would say MF fits the bill more, but Aphelios is an okay option, especially when you already know you're playing into a Volibear, right? He's going to be jumping towards you, and Aphelios is one of those champions that can shred through a mainly HP target like the Volibear very quickly.
Yeah, so opting to take the old handshake and locking in the Leona as well. It does feel like MFT has a different sort of prio in their pick ban than a lot of other teams. This Graves early, while again technically a flex, probably is going to be 665's choice. And it kind of feels like it didn't really do enough to justify that last time around. I'm curious what they do differently here in Game 2.
Yeah, and part of the reason why he wasn't able to find a whole lot of impact in these team fights was just the existence of Orianna, right? The fact that he had to navigate the ball. The one time he tried to get a little bit aggressive with this positioning, he just gets caught out by the shockwave. And afterwards, being stuck behind when it comes to a lot of your vision control, that makes life very difficult for a low range AD carry like Graves. So he was definitely punished by how far behind they were when it came to map presence and just in sort of like the compositional, how they built up their composition through the draft. Now, CFO into the second phase, they didn't lock in a mid laner, so I would expect MFT to just go ahead and ban away at the very least that Orianna and maybe even consider a ban towards the Rise.
It's a possibility, unless they want to take it for themselves, but they are continuing to throw that Gangplank ban Rest's way. So that's going to be off the table, as is the Tryndamere. Clearly, CFO are fairly convinced that 665 is not going to be, or is going to be the one on the Graves. LeBlanc ban, so far pretty much the same as we've seen in the past. So MFT, question is, does this change here? Do we have the Orianna in the mid?
Yeah, it should be the next target. And MFT don't ban it away, then they have to have something in particular crafted up. They instead ban away the Renekton, so they've kind of deemed like, hey, let's try and take away the options for Rest up in that top side when it comes to blind pick. Right now, CFO are going to be hovering that Zoe pick, but I think they'll just lock in a top laner instead. And for Rest, he's perfectly comfortable playing something like a Gnar, and it looks like they'll go ahead, lock in the Zoe pick and just say, hey, whatever you were planning on playing, well, we'll just snatch it up, because I think they want to play the Zoe. And if now the Zoe's taken away, where do you go from here? I think MFT, this is pretty much a clear Orianna angle here, because it is one of those team fighting champions, but the Rise left available, also another option that, of course, when fits his playstyle very much so. And now it's up to this blind pick for Taco.
Yeah, this is a curious pick and pan for sure. Mission taking away the Zoe from Wen, and it kind of gives CFO this sort of a pick element to their composition. They have a lot of tools to try and catch somebody out, and you got to be a little bit worried. That's going to be another Gragas, this time blinded, not going to be into a Renekton, but you have to think there's lots of options still here for Rest to play with. We still haven't seen the Gwen facing a lot of prio. Of course, there are other options as well. This Aatrox, technically one of them. I have seen some pop-off Aatrox plays. Could be a bit of trouble considering Rest has been able to get some help from Gemini to try and bully out a lane. Wouldn't be surprised to see that here. And it's going to get locked in.
Okay. Yeah, and the Aatrox, we haven't seen this pick at all when it came to the regular season. Now we do get to see being played, and it has a nice matchup, of course, into those tanks, right? And Gragas, certainly one of them. And the possibility is certainly there for him to pop off on this champion, right? It's pretty low range over on the side of MFT, because you are bringing in something like that Rise, which is a very low range mage, but it kind of works both ways, right? If Aatrox is going to get value, if put behind is going to be incredibly detrimental to his team, because then all of a sudden you play into their range because you don't have a lead and you're just kind of free for the taking.
Yeah, it's a little risky, but I think it speaks some confidence for Rest, and obviously Gemini has focused up there in the past. You have to think that Taco should be prepared for it. Question is it going to be enough, right? I mean, 665, can he match the pressure up there? Can he help out? Will they have a different strategy? Because as it stands, CFO have given themselves all the tools to do exactly what they did last time. Mission, of course, pretty solid as a roamer in his career, certainly could do more of that with this Zoe. Yes, it can be matched by the side of Wen, but Wen was a couple steps behind last game. I think MFT are going to need to pick up the pace here. Hopefully they've been studying, because it is going to be the midterm exams for them here. If they lose this, they'll drop down to the lower bracket to face off against Frank Esports. Down one game in the series already. Can they answer back, or will it be a 2-0 CFO match point after this?
That'll be the big question, right? As we get a good picture of the Rift. That is an incredibly picturesque scene there. But MFT, okay, just kidding.
Yeah, we have a little more time. We get to focus on what the teams are going to try to do. But yeah, it's I still can't shake the feeling that MFT didn't really learn their lesson. I wonder about this high prio on the Graves Nightstar.
Yeah, that's certainly very interesting. The Diana was also left up available to them, true, and they still opted for the Graves pick here. And this time around, I think they have a better setup here, because you have Wen on a Rise pick, which I think is a much better fit for how MFT want to play. But also, more importantly, you have a stronger bot lane duo, or at least something you're more comfortable with snowballing here. I'm not sure if teams are quite comfortable snowballing the MF pick, even though I would say it played pretty well in game number 1. But they go for the Aphelios, and if they are able to get Aphelios going, he does have a little bit more power in the later portions of the game if CFO do commit a mistake.
Yeah, that's something you want to be careful about relying on. Talking about committing mistakes, Taco steps face first into Rest,
okay,
who is going to be able to find quite a lot of damage on him early on. Going in for round 2, he's really trying to deny. I mean, he's not facing any farm, I suppose, or any. He's not facing a whole lot of farm loss because Rest is there. But otherwise, we are off to a normal start. Both junglers starting on top sides of the map.
Yeah, and I think for the side of MFT, this is a much clearer draft of saying, hey, we want to play towards bottom side, right? Because you're playing up against the Jinx. You have an Aphelios. So if Aphelios does get set behind, he's going to have a really, really tough time against the Jinx in particular when it comes to these fights. But Rest already has level 2, and immediately he goes aggressive here. So a good start. And for CFO, they can still play for either side they want. Aatrox, one of those carry top laners that you are somewhat comfortable leaving on an island. Let him play weak side, but you're also just kind of comfortable allowing this Jinx to just try and scale up here. So Gemini has his options available to him.
And it seems like the option he's taking is to try and counter jungle at the moment. Going to run into the red pit and actually throw down a Sky Splitter. Yeah, he's not even focused on the red buff. He wants to get the kill onto 665 right now. And 665 just limps away. That's going to force out the back. And maybe not. He's actually going to be on Krugs, but he loses out on his own red buff. And you don't want that start if you're 665 getting 3-buffed by Gemini and CFO.
Yeah, and I feel like he just kind of wasn't aware that that could happen from the side of CFO. And I mean, CFO, they play it well. They pulled the early rotation, and now MFT, they're going to try and get that bot lane priority. Of course, without a support in that bottom lane, they're able to push up, and now it's MFT's turn to go aggressive.
Yeah, they are, but Mission to Win are going to actually join the fight here. Ignite already burned on 665 as Renhouse trying to keep them all in place. Whale and Shun both
Whale's
joining
here.
the party. And that should be the first blood picked up by the Jinx. Shun is able to get it. It does get answered back to Mission, but I think CFO are winning this fight. Shun on the double kill, looking to get even more resets, and Gemini buying some more time. Already has the 2 roots down. Wen's in trouble. Rune Prison. Oh, and the triple kill comes in on the shock, and now Renhow running for the hills.
Oh,
They're gonna go for it. It's gonna be a quadra kill at 4 minutes.
Pyra. This is
Esther.
as much of a GG as I've ever seen at minute
Oh, yeah.
4.
That's a
4
go next
minutes,
fast.
4 kills to a Jinx. I mean, the only thing that would fit the script better was if it was Jin being able to count to 4 at 4. But I think it works out even better for CFO. And once again, it's Wen making this rotation just a little bit later. And then you look at his mana pool, he doesn't have mana for this fight either. So CFO, even though they don't have bot lane priority, they somehow make their way over and win this skirmish out. And Shun has a blue buff, has 4 kills. This is like, I don't know how to describe it, but this is the fastest go next.
Yeah. Shun has the killer instinct, and I think this is the reason why he was brought into the squad, because Atlan definitely plays a little further back. Atlan definitely plays a little more for the later stages of the game, and he's not a bad player at all, but Shun, he's the kind of guy that's going to flash forward to secure those kills. He goes into the pit. That sets it up 1, 2, 3, 4. I cannot believe that turn of events. I mean, imagine the worst case scenario in a generic League of Legends game and multiply it by 4. And that's what MFT are facing right now. Such a massive diff on the side of the AD carries in Shun's hands. Right now, it's obviously only resulted in the pickaxe, but a full item component difference at such an early point in the game is huge. And CFO definitely going to be able to run this lead all the way to the bank. It's a 2,000 gold edge.
Yeah. I mean, those 4 kills, it's 1,300 gold because it was also a first blood, I believe, for Shun in that fight. So 1,300 gold, that is essentially a noon quiver. So he's got such a large advantage because in addition, he gets himself a pickaxe, he has extra boots, so it's going to be harder to gank him because he has that extra movement speed. And then you look like he still has a cleanse up, so even if you try and engage onto him because he doesn't have flash, well, they only have one form of CC, and that is the Leona. So he should be fine even with that flash down because of that extra movement speed and the additional cleanse.
Yeah, adding insult to injury right now, Taco getting bullied out by Rest early in this one. Both top laners level 6. Does have to expend the explosive cask just to stop the push there, and 665 just hasn't been able to bring nearly as much pressure either on this map as Gemini has, and he's looking really good on this Volibear. We hadn't seen him on it in the regular split, but with Lee Sin banned away, he's shown just as much of a preference. That is going to be when walking away as he burns a cleanse, trying to get away from the CP trouble bubble, and oh no! He can't take the party portal. It's denied, a mission claiming a kill with a little help from Gemini, and things are going from bad to worse here for Meta Falcon team.
Yeah, it's just way too easy for the side of CFO to go ahead and gank him. He doesn't have that. He doesn't have his flash summoner. And it looks like Koala wants to try and take a fight.
Oh, wow! He really got the stretch on that hook right there. That's the rocket. Koala is going to be able to finish the kill on the Ignite. Now into the dive. They do find Renhow for round 2. 665 is way too late to this party. And in the stasis goes Gemini on the stopwatch. They will lose Koala in the aftermath, but it doesn't seem to matter. On top of the kills, Shun is picking up plate after plate in this bottom lane.
No. It's
what a
gone.
Hook, though.
It's gone from terrible to disastrous. It's a calamity.
We're gonna run out of words.
It's not just a natural disaster. This is just a full-blown calamity. This was so well played coming in from Quad. He uses the dematerializer, throws out the hook. It's a match range hook, so it lands, and then the dive is just on. And the fact that 665 also dies here at the end. Yes, Koala gives his life over afterwards, but you get the extra plate gold.
Uh-oh.
And now it's just another kill in the mid lane.
Yeah, 665 coming in, looking for revenge. Maybe he'll find it there on a collateral
Okay.
damage. He does, forces the flash out. Maybe he gets more than one. No. Okay, so 665 at least this time is able to clean up just a little bit, but it's just the table scraps compared to what CFO were picking up in this game. That's going to be the barrel toss. However, doesn't matter. Taco gets turned again. It's a very quiet lane up top by comparison to the rest of the map, and Mission's getting fed. Shun is 5-0, has a Kraken Slayer at 9 minutes. Nice start. This is quite the hole that MFT are going to have to dig themselves out of. Let's take a look at that play again. Nice pickup onto Wen, but 665 at least got something back.
Yeah, he lands the bubble. Wen walks up and offers himself up in a certain degree there. And but great response coming in from 665. At least he's in the vicinity there for that play. Wasn't late to the party that time around. And now he's going to turn his attention towards that bottom side. But on the flip side, Gemini's turning his attention towards this Rift Herald. And now, like, clearly he's just going to take Rift Herald, go bot lane, get that extra first brick gold into this Jinx, and possibly even break the tier 2 bot lane tower. That would be massive if they're able to do so, because then you pretty much concede all semblance of dragon control if you're the side of MFT.
Yeah, the list of ways this team can get back into the game is starting to look pretty thin here on the ground. Swen's just trying to hang on in this mid lane. Sky Splitter coming in as Gemini just goes on the walkthrough. Dragon up in 45 seconds. And, you know, on paper, CFO definitely looked like the stronger team and up 1-0 in the series. Up very much in the gold game early on. I think we did expect them to be the heavy favorites, but this level of ahead, I think, was maybe beyond our scope, Nightstar. That quadra kill at 5 changed so much. Renhao going to go in now onto the Moonlight Vigil, popped by Whale. You see Shun able to flash away 665 and Gemini here as well. And the rocket, ooh, just barely dodged by Renhao. That's massive. Here comes Wen, though, does get the Rune Prison on. He would love to get that kill, but Shun
get the shutdown.
Just can't quite walk away. Big gold into Wen's pocket. So, Meta Falcon team do find an edge here, but can they keep it going? Not going to be, but they do force CFO back and start off on this dragon. It's still a bit of a risky proposition with Gemini Koala sniffing around. They go in for round 2. Forces out the Stormbringer.
Forces out Stormbreaker, but for the side of MFT, this is such a massive win. And even with the massive win, they still end up having to trade out a little bit. Mission, can they get this kill? This would be huge, but they burn Zoe's real flash, which is still a pretty solid win, but you get a big shutdown in that bot lane onto Shun. Yes, it goes onto your Rise, but at this point, you just need that extra gold infusion, and then you also secure yourselves that next dragon. So you prevent the side of CFO from cashing in on first brick with that Rift Herald popped, at least a little bit, because they will still get it here. But you delay that just ever so slightly, and more importantly, you slow down the dragon stack.
Yeah, that's critical because MFT were at risk of this game just being completely snowballed on them. At the moment, it's still going to be very, very tough. Another Shelly charge, very possible here. But at the same time, they've shown that they can at least counterplay a little bit here. So Shelly does get a second charge. Whale and Renhao forced under this tower. Got to be careful that Koala doesn't want to go for the dive on them. With Gemini at the back, no Stormbringer, though, so that's unlikely to happen right here. And, well, while they are focused that side of the map, 665 going to look to take away a red buff. This should be another tower, though. Shun is so far ahead. It's level advantage, but pretty much like full boots difference at this point. And that's going to be the tier 2 at 13 minutes. CFO still in a massive lead, but Meta Falcon team showing that they have the ability to at least turn some fights if they get the right position on when could be in trouble here. As Koala finds a hook into the tower, Sleepy Trouble Bubble does land Mission on a runaway, and it's 665 with a big shutdown. Do they have more in the tank? This is the carry Graves that they were hoping for. Oh, with the sirens blaring, the rest of CFO are going to scatter.
665 gets a massive dunk onto Mission. And this time around, like, he doesn't have to worry about something like the Oriana ball to play around. That extra zone control just not offered here in this CFO composition. So 665. Okay, Taco having
Rest.
a bit of a moment.
He's taking a lot of damage, Rest is, but Taco still facing it off. It's been a better game
Rocket.
for Taco, but I wonder if that changes here. The Rocket, it's a little optimistic. Would have gotten the kill, but Taco just squeezes out of the range. And that should be an opportunity for the reset here. Rest is not going to push his luck on the tower, just in case Taco stays around. So CFO still dictating the tempo in this one, Night Star, but at a 4,000 gold edge and a dragon split apiece, it's not as bad as it could have been based on how this early game went.
Yeah, absolutely. And Taco on that last play definitely sucked in his belly there, just to cut down on that extra bit of a hitbox.
That was close though, man. For a second, just watching the mini-map, making the calculations. This is going to be another tower though.
Yeah, it's just more gold into this Jinx, right? 5, 1, and 2. Yes, he died once and gave over a big shutdown, but it goes into the hands of the Rise, which for the Jinx isn't really that big of an issue, right? You still outrange this champion, and it's still a relatively low damage sort of playstyle when it comes to this Rise pick. And with the Kraken Slayer, you are going to be able to shred through these more tanky targets very, very quickly once he gets that low doms, even faster, of course. So, like, CFO, they're still in complete control, but for MFT, now you need to try and get some sort of split lane pressure. How well is your macro shot calling? Because that's what you need to do here.
Yeah, and it's going to be so tough fighting at the disadvantage. You look at the difference between Shun and Whale on the items right now. It is a full rapid-fire cannon and a longsword. I mean, we don't see differences that big very often right now, and boy, it's difficult. MFT, they've gotten a couple of good picks, a couple good plays. I want to see more out of this team. I want to see them finding those rotations because they do have the ability to make those plays to find the openers. They are going to get a timing window here to take advantage and get a Rift Herald. Question is where they use it. You talked about side lane plays. They have all of the side lanes available and all of the lanes to try and pick up some towers. That standing gold would be massive for this team to try and get back in the gold game.
Yeah, still plenty of tower gold up available. They are able to capitalize on that one bounty, and if they find Rest, that would have been huge for them, but they will trade for that dragon again. Like, with how the map looks, they won't be looking at bot lane for a while because of that extra tower being down, that tier 2 being removed. For MFT, they're going to try and push their advantage up in this top half of the map, being able to get that first tower down. That's another objective bounty being claimed by them, and
it's pretty big.
They will also get a decent chunk here.
If they can actually get this tier 2, they're not going to be able to. Qual is here. That was close. I was about to say, if they've gotten 2 towers off, it's almost worth, but now the teleport coming in, and the Zenith play, they've actually caught out the Aatrox, get the shutdown.
Double teleport.
It's for Whale. This is huge right now. Renhao is not going to get away with it, as he did get the Ignite down on himself. Double trouble bubble. There is going to be mission. They're going to pick up another one. It's Qual that ends up claiming the kill credit. The turn is
off
huge,
to the races,
as Shun is just getting way too excited. Quite the sugar rush here for CFO as they pick up kill after kill. Nearly getting away with it, though, was MFT on the 2 towers. They didn't quite get it done, and now CFO are right back in the driver's seat.
It certainly could have happened for the side of MFT, but they end up overstaying their welcome just a little bit too long. And I mean, Taco coming in makes a lot of sense, right? He wants to try and make a play with this Gragas and just try and team fight, but Rest, I mean, he starts to play off, goes a little bit too far, knowing that the rest of his team is going to be there to respond, or at the very least, you're very, very fed Jinx, right? And that's really all you need. That's equivalent to 1 or 2 members, and Koala finds 2 hooks, gets things started for the side of CFO, and they capitalize. And find themselves in a kill advantage. Now, looking at this total gold, like this is a 4,000 gold advantage when it comes to AD carries. That's a full Lord Dominic's over just the last Whisper coming in from Whale. And he really needs this second item. Okay.
All right, rest. 2-level advantage on both 665 and Taco here, but I don't know if he's going to live long enough. However, you do see the flash bear over the wall, and a little bit of trickery here from 665 part, but everybody's just burning all those flashes now with the numbers advantage. MFT do manage to find that fight. Rocket could kind of come in, and it's going to hit Taco, but not enough to get the kill on him. Very chaotic moment there, Nightstar, but at the end of the day, it's CFO that end up getting a tower in exchange for the death of their top laner and just running wild through the MFT jungle. It just feels like pound for pound, they're the stronger team. Hook in, they do find the root now onto Wen, not enough follow-up damage. Here we go, into the front Koala, just tanking through it all at the moment. Mission and Gemini splitting MFT. Renhao way too low. The flash forward, that's a collateral, but 665 doesn't have enough to get the kill. Mission going into stasis, and the miscalculation from Whale. Wen still alive in this one, and some low health bars. Will he be able to get this one as Taco and Wen just trying to find the opener, but no, the answer doesn't come through. The rockets, it's huge. Another one as Shun picks up the double kill. So much gold on this AD carry. They get a 20-minute ace.
All right. I think we know who the MVP of this game is.
Yeah.
CFO win it. It is absolutely Mr. CEO himself, Mr. Shun, walking away. It's 8-1-7.
Yep.
This is the most fed AD carry I've ever seen at 20 minutes in a professional game.
It is very, very one-sided in favor of CFO. I think MFT, they've had the right idea in trying to get those picks, to get advantages. The problem is they're so far behind, they just can't execute fast enough. Really good play by Rest to just buy as much time as possible. The turnaround there, let's take a look at how it all started. No, this was actually the play after the fact. Fight on two fronts, and just too tanky in the front line. Taco doesn't have an opening. Renhao can't do anything. The Moonlight Vigil barely tickles Shun at this point. And despite some good damage, it's just not enough. Whale goes in, can't get the deletion on anybody. And this fight's pretty much over because Shun lives.
He ends up mistiming his flash there, thinking that he'd be able to get the damage in or be able to time that stopwatch a little bit better, but unfortunately doesn't. He ends up going down. And I mean, for the side of CFO, like, they're just so far ahead. They're really just out muscling them. Yes, Shun was kind of caught out of position in that instance, but they just don't have the burst damage because, again, you're running this Rise.
Renhao gonna get jumped on by Gemini. This feels like it is absolutely over. They have so many targets to choose from, and they're just 1, 2, 3 hitting them all. Wen going to nearly fall down. Rest on the hunt for him at the moment. Mission on the front line. Easy peasy as you like. Wen is the last man standing, and it's all going to be over. Buys a tiny bit of time, and Rest is like, that's fine. Go ahead and take your time. I got it. This is going to be Taco with the final defense. I think you're right, Nightstar. I think this game is going to be even faster than the first.
And it looks like CFO are just going to finish things out right here.
There we go. That's going to be another kill for Shun. A rampage at 22. Looking for Renhao. Finds the double. Final score for this guy is going to be absolutely off the charts. They're going to give another one over at this point. 665 falls on the steps of the fountain, and the Nexus will drop here as another ace comes through. They just want to give him even more kills, and it's a 2-0 match point for CFO.
CFO really running away with this one from minute 4 with that quadra kill on to the Jinx. And everything after that really felt more of a formality, right? It was just, you know, playing through the game at that point, but it never seemed like it was in doubt because of that extra gold investment on to Shun. Even when he got shut down, didn't go on to a super relevant target, right? It goes on to the Rise, and unfortunately, again, because he's going tank Rise, he doesn't, the extra gold doesn't feel that effective onto a champion like him, instead of perhaps something like and the Philios, or maybe 665 on that Graves being able to then burst out the Jinx. But CFO, you still have to say, like, this is everything we expected out of them in this matchup. Just power through the lane, overwhelm them, and then just kind of slap them silly with your wallets.
I think they went even above and beyond. I mean, that 4 or 5 minute quadra kill was something else, but it was lined up so perfectly for Shun, and it was just down to CFO out executing. I think MFT had some great plays to try and get back into the game, but it was so hard to do, and they overstayed their welcome. You know, the push up top, you really saw this illustrated when they were trying so hard to make the play worth it, to make the trade for the dragon worth it. And had they got the second tower, I would have said yes, but they doubled down to commit to the fight after the fact. It bought enough time for the rest of the CFO cavalry to arrive, and all of a sudden they just got bursted out over and over again, because you can't let the Jinx run wild. It's one of the reasons hyper carries have been in vogue for this season. They just do so much, Nightstar, and when you get a quadra kill that early on, oh boy. I don't know what the earliest quadra in Professional League of Legends is, but I think that's got to be a contender.
It must be. And when you pick a champion like the Philios, you, especially into the Jinx, you really need to snowball ahead during the lane phase. And when the Jinx shows up with a quadra kill, it's impossible to snowball the lane phase at that point. So Whale and Renha were really put on the back foot at that point, and when you look at their other lanes, like, you have a Gragas in the top lane. It's so hard to play through that Gragas, right? You can't just pivot strategies like the side of CFO, where they still could have played through Aatrox if they really wanted to.
Yeah, it's kind of making me question some of these repeat champion choices here for Meta Falcon team. I think 665 did show a lot more promise on the Graves this game. He had a bit of killer instinct. He was able to take Mission out a number of times. But, you know, no disrespect to Mission, he was kind of superfluous this game because the Jinx was the one that was doing all the damage. Sure, we had some fun Sleepy Trouble Bubbles, some great paddle stars, but it just didn't matter. Like, Mission got to have a fun game, and it was okay. The Gragas, definitely, I'm questioning this. And if I'm MFT right now, I want to give a more powerful pick to Taco, because he's shown up on Assassins. Even one of his first games, I think, was the Akali, and he popped off. I want to see him do more, and just tank duty doesn't seem to be enough for this MFT side. So maybe the draft changes for game number 3. If it doesn't, I think we could be looking at a 3 and out.
It could very well be a 3 and out here for the side of CFO. I mean, I believe I personally predicted CFO to take this in a 3-0 fashion. It might have been 3-1, but I'm fairly confident it was a 3-0. So, like, the cards are stacked up against MFT. But in game number 3, do they have any more tricks left in the book? Because, I mean, Taco, he has shown a diversity of champions, right? So maybe they play more of a Taco focused game, because so far it's been leaving him out to dry has not really worked out, as we clearly see, like, Shun, guys, you got a quadra kill at 4 minutes. It wasn't going to be anyone else but him.
No, I think at that point it was a foregone conclusion for sure. And 87.5% kill participation. It was all over the map, but that's because the team just said, all right, we're going to mount this guy. He's a cannon, and just let him run everywhere. Rockets flying left and right, just doing so much damage. It feels so good when you get to play a Jinx to pop off like that, because you really feel the Rockets dishing the DPS over and over again. Shun in this team has certainly shown his potential time and again, and this is one of the champions that CFO give him to make the plays. Killer Instinct is certainly great for him on this side, and I think it's a potent tool in the kit for CFO. And looks like we are going to break soon. Just a little debate. That's okay. You know, maybe we got a little ahead of ourselves. We had to talk about CTBC Bank in addition to the Flying Oyster Nightstar.
Yeah, absolutely. But